All right, welcome everybody to the House of Strength podcast. We appreciate you listening and getting us a lot of likes and positive reviews on iTunes. So thank you. As you know, the House of Strength podcast is designed to help you live stronger, healthier, happier. We're going to talk about all things fat loss, strength training, speed training, make you faster. We're going to talk about diet, nutrition, hormones, anything that's related to performing better and living without limits. We want you to be able to live your dream life, and to basically just be a badass and live limitless. And to that end, today's guest is one of the strongest guys I know. Good friend of mine, John Gaglione. So John, welcome, and thank you so much for hanging out with us today.
Happy to be on here, man. Excited.
Cool. Well, so for everybody listening, John is, like I said, one of the strongest guys I know. He is, he's the owner of, 5 to 10 different certifications. He writes for T Nation. He's been featured in Men's Health. He speaks at many of the schools along the Northeast. He's actually the coach of his gym, has a powerlifting team, and they have 10 nationally ranked powerlifters. Tell us, John, where's your gym and what do you guys do?
Absolutely. My gym is in Strong Island, New York, right in the center of it. It's in Farmingdale, right in the border of Nassau and Suffolk County. We have people come from all over. We even have people from New Jersey come. Some people come from downstate New York, Suffolk, Nassau. So east, west, north, east, south. People come from all over just to get strong. Started out as just primarily mostly training athletes. I got into powerlifting shortly after I stopped competing in wrestling myself. We trained a lot of wrestlers. I used to coach wrestling. And then we started to build our powerlifting team from there. Pretty much everyone that comes in, whether they're looking for fat loss, looking for athletic performance, or they're on a powerlifting team, they lift hard and heavy. Our primary focus is strength training, and that's what we specialize in. And it's just a great group of guys and girls that just get after it together, and we all push each other. So it's all things strength. You come in our gym, you're going to hear the weights clanking, the chains rattling, and it's a lot of fun. So very, very exciting stuff. And I love going to work every day and just training, hanging out with my best friends, and lifting hard and heavy, and then sweating alongside them. So it's a lot of fun.
Awesome. And I know that's something that you're truly passionate about. You care a lot about your members and your lifters, and you're one of those guys who's going to be right in there with them, like you said, sweating and grunting, and you definitely lead by example when it comes to that aspect of it. For some of the people listening, they may be driving in their cars or not sitting in front of a computer, but when you said something about hear the weights clanging, and if you grew up as a wrestler or a power lifter or something, it makes sense. It's that's kind of just what you do, and the connection of strength and performance does make sense. For somebody who didn't grow up wrestling, playing football, or around the clanking of weights, it's easy for them to hear that or see that environment and be intimidated. What and I know you guys have an adult fitness program, so for people who don't aren't lifters already, why do they want to be strong? Why is that important?
Right. The way I kind of explain it, it's like strength is like your foundation of everything, and the bigger your base, the more potential you could have for anything. There's like an old saying, you can't flex bone. It's really important to have, a lot of people kind of are afraid if they're like looking for fat loss to put on like lean mass, but having more muscle mass and getting stronger is going to help you burn more calories, going to help you run faster, jump higher, perform better, feel better. Even people with like back pain and stuff like that, sometimes it could be actually a weakness and not necessarily like a flexibility or mobility problem and stuff like that. And a lot of people just kind of disregard strength training. They think that they have to do other things, or they're just kind of intimidated because strength training and classic barbell lifts, they are technical, and there is a learning curve to them. So a lot of people kind of use them incorrectly, and some people are kind of afraid that they might they might put on too much weight or get too bulky. or possibly get injured. But those are all kind of myths. And if you strength train the right way, it could really enhance really any goal, whether it's fat loss, performance. And obviously, if you're a competitive lifter, a competitive athlete, it's crucial to have that foundation of strength. So whether if you want to run faster, jump higher, or lose weight, it's just going to allow you to kind of push further and build that base of the pyramid out wider so you can reach a higher peak, for whatever your goals are. So pretty much the stronger you are, like the more potential you're going to have in different other, if you want to enhance other qualities, it's going to give you more potential to just achieve higher results in a quicker amount of time.
Yeah, so essentially, the stronger you are, the higher you're going to raise that ceiling of what you can, potentially achieve.
Sure.
Okay. Hey, well, you said something interesting about people having pain, whether it's back pain or any other joint pain. I know that you've written a lot of articles that have been published talking about increasing mobility for certain movement patterns. Tell us some of the things that you guys do, or like let's say that somebody is afraid to begin lifting because they think they're going to get hurt, or they already have back pain, hip pain, they have problems moving now, so they may be afraid to pick up a heavy barbell and start slinging weight around.
Sure. Well, as far as like people who are afraid about pain or anything else, I think that the internet is great because there's a lot of information out there, but it's a blessing and a curse because people kind of they call it paralysis by analysis, so they kind of get paralyzed and they're not really sure what to do. The biggest advice I can give you first before anything else, because just understand that technique is number one, and if you don't really know how to do the lifts properly, it's important to seek out someone who knows the proper form and the proper mechanics of the lifts and the joint angles and all that stuff. So someone can actually watch you perform the exercises. So you can, and then if you don't have, and even if you video them, you could send to reputable coaches online. There's many different options if you don't have access to higher level fitness professionals in your area, whether it's sending a video for technique online or whatever it is, and a lot of people are willing to help. A lot of people in the strength game are very, very humble people, and they want to give back. So don't be afraid to ask people for help. So I would say that's number one. And with any joint problem or any kind of issue as far as with movement, it could be one of three things. I just wrote an article on T Nation about squat depth because a lot of people want to squat deeper. And I wrote, that's not deeper. More range of motion is not always better. It's the quality of the range of motion. It's the quality of the movement. And it could be one of three things. So it could be a technique problem. So again, having a coach watch you and teach you the proper movement is important. It could be a mobility problem, or it could be a stability problem. So for the squat, for example, if you want to get a little better at squatting, it's important to do exercises that open up your upper back, open up your hips, and open up your ankles. And there's many different exercises that you could do for those. A lot of people don't pay attention to proper warm-up, so that's another thing that's important to warm up properly. So if you're going to use those joints for whatever activity you're doing, like squatting, it's important to do exercises that are going to help open up the hips and warm up the ankles and loosen up those areas.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll put the link to that article. I just read that that was posted earlier this week, and that was a really cool article. We'll put that in the show notes so people can click to and read
cool.
that. But let's go through. You mentioned those three reasons that people may
Sure.
have issues squatting to the depth with the range of motion and quality of movement pattern that we want as a coach or as a lifter. So go through, if you don't mind, each of those three
Sure.
that you just mentioned. And like I know you said for mobility, it was upper back, hips, and how would you address that? What can people who are listening do today to feel better and improve their range of motion in those specific areas?
Sure. So particularly like in the squat, bench, and deadlift, it's important to have extension in your upper back. So the upper, you have the lumbar spine, your lower back, thoracic spine, your upper back area. So any exercise, the best thing I found, like I said, is just you taping two lacrosse balls together and just literally putting on your upper back area. So you don't want to put it too high up or too low, just kind of the middle and upper part of your back. So like kind of in this region here.
Right between the shoulder blades.
Sure, and then just literally laying on it and putting pressure on it, that's going to help release and just kind of mobilize each individual vertebrae. So each kind of segment of your back. That's really important for extension.
How long and how often would you recommend somebody does that?
Really depends on how severe. Kelly Starrett always recommends that you do something for at least 2 minutes if you want to make a lasting change. So that's a good start. For someone who's really, really like kyphotic and hunched over, It's really important that they do these kind of exercises actually literally every day. My coach Eric, yeah, my
And
coach
that would
Eric,
be anybody who's basically kyphotic is that rounded position. So for people who aren't watching and didn't see what you just did, that's hunched over the computer keyboard all day long, tight chest, your shoulders are rounded and slumped forward, and you have a hard time getting that thoracic spine extension, meaning pushing your sternum out and up, right?
so whether you're driving on the computer, texting, like there's all kind of put you in a bad position. So you want to kind of like,
Amazing. That's a good one.
yeah, this like you're like this.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's all I mean, and that's honestly that's like kind of the society we live in. So it's important to kind of get back out of that position and and just and try and stay in a good position and be conscious of that position during the day.
So how does that help somebody squat?
So if by maintaining a better by having more extension in your upper back is going to help maintain proper spinal alignment. So a real common error in technique when the weight gets heavy is that people will get pitched forward and their spine inevitably will round and that causes a lot of pressure on the back and just puts you and then eventually when it gets heavy you're not going to be able to lift the weight anymore. So you want to try and get a more neutral back alignment, not a rounded or hunched forward. So by forcing your back into extension and locking in your upper back, squeezing everything nice and tight, it's going to help create more tension, and then more tension is going to give you more stability, so you can maintain your position as you drop into the descent of the squat and eventually come out of the hole. So that'd be for the upper back.
Yeah. So essentially, what you just said was, if somebody can improve their range of motion and mobility in their upper back, they're going to eliminate back pain associated with squatting, and they'll be able to squat more weight, be stronger.
Absolutely. And
So why would people not want to do that?
it's just it's one of those things. A lot of people don't really address it until they need to. Whereas I think that all these kind of mobility exercises and warm ups should be used more as prevention and like something you do beforehand, so you can stay in a better position and start in a better position. But a lot of people don't really appreciate these things until they get older, and there's a lot of lifters and a lot of examples, but like Stan Efferding really comes to mind. His total just got broken, but he had an all-time world record total at 275. He squatted well into the 800s, with just a belt, and he would spend, I think, like 45 minutes to an hour on just warm up. And I think when he did it, he was in his upper 40s. So he was like an older guy. He's, into his 40s. So, he's got to take care of himself a little bit more. So a lot of people in their early 20s or even teens and even early 30s maybe won't appreciate this stuff as much. But,
Right.
You got to learn from people's mistakes and kind of address it in the forefront.
So for the people who say they're too old to get started or too old to do that kind of lifting, right there's a prime example that no, in fact, you're not.
Yeah, I mean, and my good friend Donnie Thompson, who he was the first man to total 3,000 pounds in powerlifting. He set the all-time world record total at 46 years old, and a lot of people are kind of out of the game at that. And he's still lifting hard and heavy, and with his team, and he's like
That's really
he's
cool.
800 pounds for fun.
Two things on that. For some people that may not know what a total is, explain that. And then
Sure.
I know you've got something in the works with your boy Donnie, so
Absolutely.
go through that too.
Yeah. So the sport of powerlifting is the three lifts combined. So it's your squat, your bench press, and your deadlift, and then you get three lifts in each, progressively heavier. You can't go down in weight, and whatever your best lift is that counts, it's added to your total. So, for example, just to make like the math easy, if you squatted, 400 pounds, you bench 200 pounds. That's 600 pound subtotal right there. And then if you deadlifted, another 400 pounds, your total would be 1,000. All those lifts added up. So.
Right. And you just said this guy Donnie Thompson totaled over 3,000. So for easy math, that's about 1,000-pound bench press, squat, and deadlift.
Yeah,
That's a strong guy.
Yeah, very, very strong. He squatted when he's totaled 3,000. He squatted 1265, and I think he benched 955, and he pulled whatever he needed to pull. He pulled like high sevens. His best pull is 828, I believe, but he just pulled what he needed to pull to hit that three. He really wanted that milestone. So on his last deadlift, he just pulled what he needed to do to get the total he wanted, and then he passed on the last lift. So.
Well, if we
Pretty.
have time, we may get you to give us some pointers that you've learned from him on a 900-pound bench press.
Oh man, I
So
can.
tell us what you got going on with him. What, April
Yes.
19th?
April 19th, Super D as they call him. He's Mr. 3000. He's coming to our gym. We had him come in for a seminar last year. It was one of our biggest and best seminars, and this one's going to even be better. What's really unique about Donnie and what I love, obviously he knows how to lift and he's a very strong guy, but he's also an excellent teacher and an excellent presenter. He's extremely personable and he's extremely funny also, so he's very entertaining. So you will not be bored. I mean, the seminar flies by because it's just really he's just a great speaker. And what's really unique about him, a lot of people could teach you how to bench squat and deadlift, but what's great about him is all the little exercises and mobility drills and accessory movements that he does, and it's all the stuff that he used to keep himself healthy into his late 40s, and it's why he's still lifting hard and heavy today. And I think a lot of people can really learn from him just with that. It's a very unique experience. Not a lot of people, no one's really done what he's done, but especially at his age, and that's what makes him really unique.
Yeah.
He's one of the best powerlifters of all time, but also in his upper 40s. And it just really shows the longevity and all the little exercise that he's been doing. He's just all the unique stuff with band and compression and all this stuff, and highly recommended. If you guys are if you're anywhere near Long Island, I would and Ryan will get you the link.
Yeah.
It's a great seminar, and it's our best one of the year and highly recommended.
Yeah,
So
we'll definitely make sure that that link is in the show notes on the blog. So if you're not watching this, if you're listening to it, make sure you go over to the blog. We'll have all the links, everything that we're talking about today. And so essentially, he's going to come in and show and teach people how to do the mobility stuff that you're talking about.
yes.
Very hands-on. So let's go back to what we were talking about then. A couple other areas on the squat to fix mobility. We talked about upper
Yeah,
back.
so we went through upper back. Definitely need that. For hips, anything that's going to help. There's a lot of things that go on with the hips. So in order to get a nice deep squat and just keep your knees in a good position, because a lot of people say squats hurt my knees, all this stuff. So a lot of times when people squat down, they let their knees kind of travel too far forward instead of kind of making it kind of sit more on the middle of the foot and the ankle a little bit. So in order to do that, you have to learn how to sit back, which takes a lot of hamstring flexibility and hip mobility, and also to force the knees outward to the sides. That's going to help open up your groin and allow you to drop into a deeper position and maintain good position with your knees. You never want your knees kind of collapsing inward. You want to keep your knees out, and that's going to keep your knees in a good position so you don't put any stress on the insides of your knee.
Yeah, we see that a lot. That people want those knees to go forward, and you're jamming the femur into the back of that knee joint, and that's where a lot of that pain comes from. So, like you said, if we're working to increase mobility and all those muscles involved, we're going to significantly reduce, if not eliminate completely, knee pain, low back pain, hip pain. Yeah. So, give us like what would be your favorite drill for that?
There's a lot of different things you could do with bands and stuff. Any type of hip flexor stretch, any type of groin stretch is good. But what I found in my article, there's like a whole sequence I do with my guys. It's like a whole kind of flowing pattern that we do to warm up, which you could check out the video.
You've got a video in the article showing that you're at Zach's place, aren't you?
Yes, yeah. I was teaching. I was doing it. I was like a level 2 coaches cert, and I did a powerlifting segment, and that was a little clip from there. So
Okay.
really good stuff. I do it before every squat workout myself. But a really quick drill you guys could do is drop down into a squat, and you're gonna bring your hands together like you're praying, and you're gonna use your elbows to force open your thighs. That's gonna help stretch your groin, open up your hips, and allow you to drop into a deeper squat in a more safer position. So it's a great way to kind of train your body to be able to go through abduction and external rotation that you need at the hip, so you could keep your knees out effectively in the bottom position, which is where most people kind of let their knees collapse in. So really simple drill. You're just going to pull yourself down to a deep squat, bring your hands together like you're praying, and use your elbows to pry open your thighs and open up your hips. That'd be like my number one, just like quick, easy tip to help improve hip mobility.
We love that one at House of Strength. That's one that we use a lot. And as a matter of fact, a lot of times when I'm coaching, I find myself, if I get tight standing up after a few hours, I'm actually sitting down coaching from that position. And for people who are not watching, if you're driving or whatever, that video is in the article that will be posted in the show notes. It's the prayer squat. Great move. And one thing that you didn't mention that we always want to point out is we see a lot of times when people they try to get that depth before they have the mobility, and the heels will come off the ground. So
Yes.
we want to make sure that the heels stay on the ground. And that takes a high degree of ankle mobility, which I think was the next part of your article.
Yes. So there's a lot of stuff you can do for the ankles. Donnie has developed some crazy things with bands that he does that work really well, and I'm not even gonna try and butcher it and explain it like through words. Just check out the video.
Yeah.
I'll just say that. But there's a lot of cool stuff that he does. Really groundbreaking stuff, and you can see the range of motion improve like instantly, like as soon as you do it, which is really cool. So
Elaborate on that. So how often do people need to do these ankle drills, and how quickly will they see
so
results?
it depends on how locked up the person is. So if the person has really poor mobility and it's something that needs to be addressed, like Dan John says, like something like that, like same thing with what I was saying, going back to my coach Eric before, he had some of like the worst kyphosis I've seen, and he had really poor form squatting and deadlifting. And to his credit, I think he did like the double lacrosse ball, like literally like every day for like a month or maybe even 2 months. And, when he came to me, he was, not that this is bad, but he, I think his best deadlift was like 495. And, 2 years later, he's been training with me and training with us. Now he's deadlifting 700, and his form is considerably better. He's able to get in a better position on his squats and his deadlifts. And he's gotten much stronger as a result. And part of that was not like strength training, it was just getting in a better position and improving his technique through some of these mobility drills. So something like these ankle drills, just something that's really simple as trying to keep your heel down, going against the wall, just take a couple of inches away from the wall, and driving your knee so it could tap the wall while keeping your heel down is a great way to improve what's called dorsiflexion of the ankle, so just kind of bringing your toes up toward your shins. And that's going to help allow you to get into a deeper squat. So the key is to do this barefoot and make sure your heel stays on the ground as your knee tracks forward.
That's a great. We're going to ask you about that in just a second, but dorsiflexion. I'm chuckling. That was one of the words that we threw out a lot in our first episode. Was with Adam. You know Adam very well. Lincoln
Sure.
Arter came on and talked about jumping higher and being faster. And dorsiflexion was the toes up position. With the feet, and that's crucial for an athlete. So along those lines, talk about footwear. That's something that a lot of people are curious about. Can I lift in running shoes, and why not?
I could probably spend a whole podcast on shoe. I have a different shoe for every lift, man. But
so tell us why. What are we looking for with footwear?
There's so many different things to deal with footwear. I mean, it depends on how crazy you want to get. Okay. But for the squat, for example, if for people who lack ankle mobility, a way to kind of cheat it a little bit is by wearing weightlifting shoes because they have a built-in heel. So you're starting in a position of plantar flexion, so you're kind of starting higher than you normally would, which will give you a little bit extra range of motion for your knee to travel forward while keeping your heel on the ground. So a lot of medium to narrow stance squatters prefer Olympic lifting shoes. I'm a wider stance squatter, so I wear a flatter shoe. Mark Bell just came out with these power shoes. They're great. They're the best I have found. They're flat, and they're reinforced on the side, so you could really push out on your knees and really aggressively get your knees out without your ankle kind of rolling out to the side, which happens a lot when people don't have that mobility in their ankles. So in general, something like a minimal shoe I like for most lifting. And then if you really want to get to a competitive, for the squat, it depends on your stance. For the bench press, also depends on your stance. So if you're a flat-footed bencher, I like having the Olympic shoes as well because they're really solid and they're gonna just keep you grounded to the floor. If you are a toes back bencher, heels back and your heels are up, any kind of like Chuck Taylor or Reebok Power shoe or something like that is fine. And for the deadlift, I like deadlift barefoot a lot. Or again, another flat-soled shoe. So any type of flat-soled shoe is going to allow you to engage your hips and your hamstrings more, and so it's going to give you a posterior or a backwards weight shift, which a lot of people don't know how to engage the backside of their body, their posterior chain, so glutes, hamstrings, lower back. A lot of people have more of an anterior or a forward weight shift. So in general, I recommend most people wear like a flatter or minimalist shoe, and that's going to allow them to use their hips more, and it's going to put less stress on their knees because they're not going to be shifting forward as much, and it's going to allow them to use the bigger muscles, the hips, hamstrings, and glutes more effectively. So
that was an issue that you mentioned earlier when we were talking about squatting, where people want to shift forward and they haven't quite learned that pattern to go backwards. So even a change as simple as switching to the proper footwear can help you learn that pattern faster or be more efficient. Yeah. I have not tried those the power shoes you're talking about.
They're awesome. It's like a Chuck Taylor on steroids.
so like the side of my Chuck Taylors I've busted out from driving out this way. So
like I said,
reinforced right there.
It's like thicker, and it's just it's a much better design.
Cool. Cool.
You know, like I said, I've been squatting very heavy recently because I'm getting ready for my next competition, and I just feel so much more stable especially in the bottom when I'm have my heavy squats. And it's like, again, for those of you guys who are watching the video, when you push your knees out, a lot of times if you're really aggressive, your feet will kind of roll out this way. So with that Reebok Power Shoe, when you push your knees out and you push into the sides of the shoe, you're going to be more grounded because that's reinforced, and they actually have suction cups on the bottom to help keep your feet. They're like mini suction cups. Is that
legal?
It's, as far as I know, it's legal. So I hope so. I'm wearing to my next meet. So
all right. Well, that's one of our coaching cues is to think about spreading the floor with your feet.
Yeah.
So okay.
And it's going to help you. Those shoes are going to help you do that. So like if you're wearing regular sneakers, a lot of times your kind of foot moves and the shoe doesn't move, and it creates a little like balancing issue. Especially if a lot of shoes are kind of squishy nowadays.
Yep.
You know, like you don't want like a squishy shoe when you're squatting heavy.
Yeah. Or that thick sole on the bottom where you're just going to roll your ankle and collapse.
No good.
So, okay.
No support there.
You mentioned that you're competing soon. Tell us when are you competing? Where is it?
Yeah, I'm going to be competing May 18th. It's the IPA Grand Prix. It's actually a Westside Pro Invitational qualifier. It's at a Clarion Hotel, I believe, in Ronkonkoma. So it's out in Long Island, Suffolk County, local to me, which is great. Sean Mendelson's hosting it. If you guys know, Scott Mendelson, he has held numerous world records in the bench press. It's his sister. She's a very, very accomplished lifter herself. And Donnie Thompson will be there, as well as Dave Hoff will be there, and Louis Simmons himself of Westside Barbell will be there too. So it's going to be really exciting. I'm going to compete with some of the big boys, and I'm actually dropping down two weight classes. And I'll be competing at 275 for the first time. I haven't done a full meet at 275 yet, but I'm still looking to achieve my best total ever, even at a lighter body weight. So it's a lofty goal, but my strength is good. My weight's coming down, and good. I'm really excited to get back on the platform again.
You want to tell us a little bit about what you're doing on the nutrition side to
drop
that weight, but still be as one of the strongest human beings on earth?
I don't know about on Earth, but definitely maybe in the country or maybe on Long Island, definitely. But doing okay. So what I'm working with actually Jesse Burdick, who's another great power lifter. He's out of California. He went through what I went through, so I wanted to. Anytime you're looking for a coach, it's really important to kind of maybe see yourself in that coach. Like kind of, it definitely helps. Like they've achieved what you wanted to achieve already. They know what they're doing. They've had success with other people before, so that's what I was looking for when I sought him out. And we're doing a very, very low carb diet. It's called Carb Night, and there's different modifications he'll make for me as I go through the diet. But essentially, it's very close to zero carb during the week. So I'll have mostly protein and fat, and I'll have some greens just for health and digestive stuff. So a lot of steak. I'm not eating a lot of eggs currently, but I have in the past. If I have chicken, we need to add fat to it, but fish oil, a lot of coconut oil. I have coconut oil in my coffee in the morning to get me going, and stuff like that. So just like a lot of beef, a lot of red meat during the week, and then on Saturday I fast until it depends on like what I'm doing socially, but usually around 5 o'clock I'll fast. I'll do some morning cardio throughout the week and also on Saturday. And then it's pretty much a bit really big cheat meal where you kind of can eat whatever you want, but you want to actually focus on more higher glycemic carbs to replenish your glycogen stores and kind of kickstart your metabolism for like the next cycle. So a lot of problems with traditional ketogenic diets, I think, is your metabolism kind of ends up slowing down. It doesn't really get kickstarted. So like that cheat meal on Saturday with the carbohydrates helps kind of get everything going again, replenishes yourself, and allows you to kind of helps maintain your muscle mass while you're dropping body fat. And it's worked really well for me.
Yeah, so essentially, this is a cyclic ketogenic diet. You said carb night, so this is Kiefer's, right?
Yeah, so he's the one who kind of invented it. Like Jesse tweaks it based on how I'm feeling, how my weight is changing. There are some, and again, it's a lot of people. It's not like a steady drop all the time. Like sometimes I'll lose like 1 pound, or I might gain a pound one week, and then I might drop 3 pounds the next week. So since I've started the diet again, I'm down about 22 pounds since I restarted,
Awesome.
and then overall from like my heaviest between like 50 and 60, depending on But so I'm looking to just get down to like around in the 275 area, and then kind of maintain and stay there, and then just kind of recomp my body and build more muscle, lose more fat, and but stay in the 275 class moving forward after this next meet.
Yeah, and you said something really interesting there. A lot of people who go on the pursuit of trying to lose weight will see that scale fluctuate 1 pound, +1, -3, 0 from week to week. When we're working with people who go through that, one of the things that we always reinforce is to focus on the actions, not the outcomes. Keep showing up, and in our professional group, we know 3.4 yards of play. Just the football analogy, keep moving the chains. You run the next play. Can you talk a little bit about the mental side of that?
Yeah, I think that's huge. Actually, I've had some personal kind of issues and stuff go on, and I've had some like mental stress over that. But I think it's always important to, no matter what you're doing, no matter what your goals, it's really important to kind of, like you said, have that quarterback mentality. There's going to be some times where you hit a big play, you hit a Hail Mary. There's going to be some times where you get sacked for a loss and you're not expecting it, but you have to focus on the next play. So if if you're not doing well, or you're not seeing the results, or maybe you go off your diet, it's okay. It happens. Where no one's perfect, but you focus on the next play moving forward. And I think that is really important. And like you said, if you focus more on the process, the results will come. Don't focus on just the numbers, okay? And especially with weight loss, sometimes the numbers can be tricky, because especially when you're dealing with muscle and fat. Like we want to drop fat, obviously. So the scale, obviously, it's one indicator of fat loss, but that's not the only indicator. So I think it's also important to post progress pics of yourself, so you can kind of see the difference, because as long as your body is looking better and you're feeling better, like that's really the most important things. And I think it's really important to have, if you have an outside coach helping you, they could be more objective, and because sometimes we tend to be more emotional with ourselves, especially when we don't achieve what we want. But an outsider's view is going to be more unbiased, and they're going to help you through it. So I just think it's really important to, like I said, just focus on one thing at a time. It's more about the consistency over the long term versus the huge results, quick. Because a lot of times those aren't sustainable. You want to be able to sustain those results over a long period of time. So like the tortoise and the hare, it's slow and steady wins the race. You just want to keep moving forward. Like I said, keep moving the ball closer to the end zone. I'd rather do 3 yards at a clip than like one Hail Mary and then I'm done the rest of the game. So
Yeah.
really important, just like small little gains over time. Huge. That's for any goal, not just diet.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I think that's the secret to success in any endeavor, like you said, is long-term consistency. So, yeah, well said there, man. We're coming up on the end here, and before we get to some of this stuff that we always wrap up with, John, I know you're hosting your first fully sanctioned powerlifting meet, June 28th. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that. I mean, it's like I said before, it's really cool. I never really saw myself as running meets. I always thought powerlifting for me would just be like a hobby, but it's really become a really important part of my business, and it's allowing me to help a lot more people than I thought I ever would. I thought it'd be smarter to kind of do more athletes and stuff. But powerlifting and lifting heavy has always been my passion, and we've been throwing a lot of charity events. We just did, Bless his soul. We did a deadlift for Mike Jenkins, who passed away recently this past Thanksgiving. Very, very safe. Great strongman competitor for those of you guys who don't know him. One of the best in the world and one of the best ever. So we did a fundraiser for him. We had over 70 lifters. There were hundreds and hundreds of people that came to the event from all over, all over the area, not just locally. And we've done another charity event for another one of my friends passed away. We did a bench press contest for him. That was a packed house. And we've helped out a lot of the local meets, help spotting and load and all this stuff. And like I said, we have over 30 lifters that compete in powerlifting, and over 10 that are nationally ranked. We have a really, really solid team. We know what we're doing. We really care about others. We care about promoting the sport. So it was just time. And people were asking me, when are you going to do a meet? When are you going to do this? So I'm like, all right, it's time to. So the business is official. We got a separate business for it, which I'm really excited to. It's just going to allow me to help more people and get more people into the sport. Because like you said before, I think you said, can older people start it? Powerlifting is a sport for everyone. And the reason for that is because you choose the weights that you want to do, and you set the bar for yourself. Whereas some other sports, it's kind of or if you're going against other people, it could be a more safety factor and stuff. Whatever your goal is, yes, you're competing against other people, but you're competing against yourself, and you're trying to achieve new personal bests and become the strongest version of yourself. And that's just a really, really powerful message, and just really going to be great to share that message and promote the sport and just get more people involved with strength. Because like I said, it's done so much for me. I really believe, it sounds cliche, but strength training, it really is a metaphor for life, because you learn to deal with that adversity, you learn that work ethic, you have that teamwork with your training partners, and it really will teach you how to succeed in all areas of your life. If you can keep that mindset, the same way you get stronger is the same way you can achieve success in any endeavor, whether it's business, family, relationships. Like I said, obviously I'm really pumped up and fired up about it. It's June 28th. It's at my buddy Pat and Danny. They own a CrossFit gym in Huntington. It's great. They're awesome people, and we're renting space from them. And it's a big venue. It's a really nice venue, and we're gonna be able to help a lot of people get involved with the sport. And a lot of people are doing their first meet. We've got signups rolling in already, and like I said, I just want to fast forward to June, man. It's going to be great. It's going to be awesome.
I know it will be. I know. Just listening to you, you can see and hear the passion. So I know it'll be a great event. And, if I was up there, I would definitely be there. If you're in the Northeast, check it out. We're going to have the link on the blog in the show notes. Do anything you can to get there if you're into lifting. And that'd be a great first exposure for people who have not
Totally
been into that before also, right?
Yeah, so one thing I'll say with that, and that's a great point, a lot of people kind of they have a preconceived notion about powerlifters and what powerlifting is all about. But a lot of them are really, really helpful and friendly. Especially, I found the best of the best are the most humble and most friendly. Yeah. We went to Raw Unity Meet. It's the biggest raw lifting competition in possibly in the world, definitely in the country. We were fortunate enough to have 2 of our lifters qualify for it and compete. And Dan Green, who's arguably one of, if not the best, but pound for pound, raw lifter in the world right now, he actually stayed after the second day, after he competed, and he helped out others, helped the people spot and load. That's the kind of people that are in this sport. They want to give back. They want to help out. So if you guys are feeling nervous, we're going to help you through it. My guys are really good. If you have any questions, we're going to help you get through it. We'll help you, devise a plan. And if you're not sure what attempt to pick or you're not sure how to warm up, we're there to help, man, because we want to promote the sport. We want to get you involved. We want to get you into that heavy weight and just lift some heavy shit together and have some fun. So don't feel intimidated. But like I said, we're all the powerlifting community is a very, very strong community, and it's only getting stronger. And I'm very happy to be a part of it and help promoting the sport grow. So it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, you touched on something there. I mean, there are very, very few people who have ever attained that level of strength by themselves, and when you get that kind of support to help reach your own goals, whatever they may be, you understand the value and the importance of giving back and helping others. And powerlifters, strongmen, a lot of weightlifters and athletes, that's a very common thread there, and it's really cool. So, like John said, don't be intimidated.
Send that check in, man. Because then it'll really motivate you to get your training going. It's awesome stuff. So
yeah. Well, John, where can people find you?
My main site, pretty much everything right now is under one roof. It's gaglionestrength.com. Really simple. It's GAG. Lione, strength.com. We're on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, like the whole 9 yards. That's really it. We're going to have some different websites and stuff in the works, but that's our homepage. It has all our events on there, all our content on there. And if you guys, I'm on T Nation a lot. I'm making an effort to write for them more. So if you guys are interested in kind of learning about how to do lifts themselves, I have tons and tons of articles in there. Everything from how to different programs and stuff. So if you're kind of just getting started, that's another good place to start. And if you're on Long Island, you'd be crazy not to check us out. So go to gaglionestrength.com, sign up for a free trial, and then we'll take care of you for sure.
Yeah, and we'll have all those links on the site in the show notes, like we said all along. All right, so last question. Everybody that comes on answers this. It's 2 parts. So number 1, give us, the people listening, 1 tip that they can put into action right away to get stronger.
Okay. I think the easiest thing, if I had to give you 1 tip, would just be find a group. I'm going to cheat and going to say 2, but a coach and or a group of people that are trying to achieve the same goal. So I think they would be both, but you want to try and surround yourself with like-minded people. This is not, Donnie didn't make this quote up, but this was it was like a Facebook status at some point. It really resonated with me. He said, if you want to fly with the eagles, you can't be hanging out with turkeys. And that goes for anything. It's not just lifting, but if you want to get really, really strong, you got to be with people that are stronger than you. Like, that's just really it. Like, I'm happy to say I am not the best pound for pound lifter in my gym, and that pushes me to get better. Yeah. And it really does. And one guy might deadlift more than me. I might squat more than them. This guy, might bench more than this guy, and that's how you get better, because everyone is complementing each other. So it's really important, if you want to get strong, to find a group, man. I mean, yes, you can train alone, you can do it alone, but you don't have to do it alone. And if you have people, and don't shut out people that are trying to give you help. So just find that group, make the jump, and then you'll do great. The group environment and having a coach is huge. So I can't emphasize that enough.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest keys that I've found in life in general, not just for getting strong. So great point there. So next, part 2 of that question is going to be not necessarily strength, but give the listeners 1 tip that will help them kick more ass and get closer to living their dream life.
Make the jump. Just do it today. If you want to do my meet, send the check in today. No, I'm just kidding, but seriously. But if you want to really achieve something, if you want to own a business, whatever, I forget who said this too, but like, you want to do 1 thing every single day. Do not go to bed until you do that 1 thing and get better. Okay, so if you like I said, if you're listening, you're really interested in the seminar or whatever, sign up. Don't think about it. If you listen to your gut, because a lot of times they say first instinct is the right one. So if you really, really want something bad enough, don't wait till tomorrow, because tomorrow, you may not have that opportunity again. So if you have an opportunity, they say, like, I don't know, not to get too spiritual or philosophical, but they say there is fate, but then once the opportunity hits you, it's up to you to make it happen. So if you have an opportunity, man, you just go and take it, because sometimes you won't get that chance again. Whatever it is, it doesn't have to be, lifting. It could be relationships, business. If you have an opportunity in front of you and it means a lot to you, just leave it all out there and make the jump. Don't be afraid. We're all afraid when we're doing it, but if it's really, really important to you, you got to take action. You got to get it done. Don't wait. Do it today. Take the jump.
On that note, we're going to wrap this one up. John, I cannot thank you enough. This has been great. I wish we could sit here and talk for another 2 hours, but I don't think anybody would listen after that.
It's all good. Maybe we'll do a part 2, and I'll rattle off some other nonsense.